that is called as an components. So what is this components and how in Vue.js the components will work? Let's try to see it, and how we can declare the components. Let's try to see it. Let me try to, what happened to my system? Yeah. Fine. So if you try to see here, so if any website you are having or any application you are having, so it is a in Vue.js or any framework or anything, it is a combination of the components. So all the components combined together, so we will create the application. So how we can define a component and how we can do it is, I will try to explain you. For example, let's say that if you want to develop an application or something like that, so the component declared, up to now we are writing in a single component, that is nothing but app component. So this is the main entry component, this is the main parent component. So if you want to define a components in your code means, so there are two ways how you can register a component. So the component how you can register this one is, for example, let's say that here you are trying to write a code. Let's say that here you are writing some logic. You are having something like input variable, and here also you are having one input variable, okay, and here you will give add two numbers or something like this. So this is our component, let's say. Okay, so this is our component. So we are having two things. Let's try to have the result. So here in our code which we have, so let's say that where number 1 is equal to ref of empty, and here where number 2 is equal to ref of empty. Okay, so these are the two numbers we are having, and we can bind it to this one using v-model is equal to number 1, and here we can use v-model is equal to number 2. Okay, so these are the two things which we are having. So right now if I want to do it, so ref we need to import it from the output. Yeah, so now if I want to show the output for this one, for example, let's say that here I will be having one input button, so one button, just example, let's say that add, and now whenever the user clicks on this button, add, this is the method I will be calling. Now here if you try to see in this one, so here this is the output, and here I will be having constant add is equal to, so anyway function also you can use it, not a problem, and constant add is equal to, and here what I will try to do, so we will have the result, so constant result is equal to f of empty, so in order to show it in the template, and here I can do result dot value is equal to, and I can do num1 dot value plus num2 dot value, that's it. So whenever the user clicks on this one, so here I need to show the result. So here in somewhere at the bottom I will show the result, there is nothing but result, that's it. So now this is the result, and if you don't want to show the result, when the result is there only then you want to show it, means you can use if result is there, if. So these are all the things which we have learned it. Now these are the two things which we are having, so don't forget about the design and all those things. We will concentrate on the logic only, and this is the thing which we are implementing. And now if I try to add something like 2 plus 4 and if I try to do it, so we are getting 2, okay, 23 means, so this is taking it as an string value, so let's convert it into a number value. Okay, now if you try to implement this one as 2 plus 3, and if you click on this one, so we are able to get this one as 5, so that means the addition is working. So the same thing what I want to do it is, I want to implement the multiplication also. So let's say that what you will try to do, so let's try to copy the same thing here, and here multiply two numbers. So let's say that we are having another two numbers. Let's say that here we will be having some other values, something like x and y, okay, and here you will be having multiply method. The result is, so multiply result, let's say. So So these are the values I am completely changing it. So that means here we need to have constant x is equal to ref of empty, and the same scenario you need to have constant. So in order to implement the multiplication also, so here you need to implement multiply result, that is also like this, and we need to have a multiply method also, same thing. So constant multiply is equal to, and here the same method, and here this time, so we need to use the multiply result dot value is equal to, so I am taking x, right, so x dot value plus y dot value. Okay, so this is the result. Now here if you try to see, so I will try to, so here if you are having multiply result, so this one is related to this one, right? Yeah. Now so we are having, hopefully everything is fine. So now if I try to do it, 2 plus 3 means, so we are able to get the result 5. So the same thing if I try to do 2 plus 3 means, so here we are able to get, okay, so this one is also again, so we need to convert into, so from template we are getting it means, so we are getting it as a string value only, so that's common. So now if I try to click on this one, let's try to refresh this page. Yeah, so now 2 plus 3 means, so we are getting this one 5, and here 2 into 3 means we are getting, why we are getting, okay, so let's try to multiply this value. So 2 3 add and 2 3, so we are getting 6. So that means this one is working. But if you try to observe this one, so we are having so much of logic here. Let's assume that we are having two separate set of logic, and we are having two different concepts or two different requirements, and we are trying to show it in the same application. So now instead of doing it like this, so now the Vue.js provides us in a such a way that we can divide these all the sections of the logic into a separate component. So that means, so for example, let's say that this all template will do the requirement something related to the addition, and this is all the logic or something like that, the container will do something different thing, that is nothing but a multiplication. So that means these two are independent thing. Okay, these two are independent to each other, and the logic is there in the same thing only, in the same component only we are adding the logic. It will be better for us, so if we try to divide this one so that the component will be linear. So fine, so what we are trying to do, so now what I am trying to explain this one is, so we are having a different section of requirement or different type of thing which we are trying to show it in the same application here. So now what is happening here, so now tomorrow if you want to come and if you want to edit some of the value, or if you want to re-edit the logic or anything, means it will be difficult for us to understand the code. Why? Because will be having, now this time if you try to see, this is small only, okay fine. So now tomorrow we are having a big requirement, something like that, means it is very difficult for us to manage the code. So for this reason what we will try to do it is, in Vue.js or any framework or anything, so they introduced a new concept that is nothing but a component. So now we can divide this section of logic into a separate component and this section of logic into a separate component, so that both the variables and the properties which we are trying to use it, the methods and all those things will be having in that same component only. So now this component will become linear. I will try to show you. For example, let's say that this is an addition component, right? Let's create in the source here. So if you want, you can create a new folder, something like components, and you can have it in this one, so that all the components will be in the same folder only. And here let's say that add.vue. So this extension should be the format, file format should be .vue only. So it should be .vue, then only the compiler will able to compile it. So if you are having .vue means, then you can able to have a template script, and if possible you can also have a styles also. So now here this is a new component. The component will be having the same thing, the same like structure only. You will be having one template where you will be adding the HTML and all those things, and you will be having the script code, so which you will be writing all the logic for the template. That's it. So this is the thing only you will be having. Now what is the logic you need to do it? So this is the total adding, right? So you can divide this one and you can add it here in this template, and you can add it directly like this. And this involves two variables, that is nothing but num1 and num2, and one method add. So you can copy this entire thing and you can add it in the script setup. Okay, and here you can add this one, right? You can remove this one, and also you can add it here. and also we are having the result also. So let's try to take that result also. Where is that result thing? Yeah, here you can take this result and you can add it here also. That's it. So now the code entire thing has been separated. Now if you want to show this component, or show if you want to render this component in this HTML means, so right now we are not able to see the thing, and now no errors are also coming. So now if I want to show this one means, what I need to do it is, so in two ways we can register a component. So one is we need to go to the main.js file, and here you will be having let's say that constant app. Here this is the app, and here you can do app dot, so it is not showing you. So let's try to remove this one. So I will try to show you. So this is not the recommended way. So this one will be registered globally. I will try to show you in the Vue.js only registration thing. Yeah. So global registration. So one thing is global registration. So you know you will be having this create app, right? And here you can register this one using the app.component. But this is not the recommended way. Why? Because when you are trying to compile it, if you have declared a component and if you are not using that component anywhere means, that component will be compiled into the output file in the dist file. So in the compiled generation file, JS file, it will be added. So if you are not using that one means, it will not remove that file. So because of that reason, what you need to do it is, you need to use the local registration. So convenient global registration has a few drawbacks. That is nothing but tree shaking. Tree shaking means if you globally register a component but end up you are not using it anywhere in the app means, it will be still included in the final bundle. So that's it. So that's why we need to add it in the local registration only. I will try to show you the local registration only. And here this is in the app.vue. So here is the place where we need to use the component. So here we need to import that component. Import, and you can give whatever the name you want. So add, let's say that add component. Let's say that this is the component from, and you need to give the place where you are using it. So that is nothing but you will be using it dot slash components. In the components you are having it slash, that is nothing but add.vue. So this is the thing, right? And this add component, so you will be importing this one directly where you want to use it. You can add it something like add component like this. That's it. So now if you try to see the output for this one, so it is not coming. Add.vue. So let's try to see it. Let's try to see the inspect element. Something we have did it wrong. Okay, so ref is not defined. So here we have added the ref and we are not importing it. So let's try to import the ref. That's it. So now we are able to see the same output, the add two numbers, but this time, so we have divided the logic. So in this add component, you will be having the same, whatever the name you are using it here, the same name you can add it as an HTML tag name like that. And now you can also divide this entire thing is also into a multiply component. So let's say that in the components, I will try to divide it into a multiply. Let's assume multiply.vue. Okay. And here I can have a template. And here I can copy this one, and here you will be having the script setup. So setup should be mandatory, you need to use it, or otherwise we need to use the setup method. So now here I can copy this entire code. I think, yeah, I can copy this entire code. This is all related to this one only. So here you can add this code, and this ref should be imported here. Ref should be imported here. That's it. And here if you want to import this one, so now the ref is not needed here. That's it. So you can remove this one, and here you need to import this, import multiply, whatever the name you want, you can give it, multiply from dot components slash multiply dot view. So now we have added this multiply. Now if you try to see, so we are able to see this add two numbers on, right? Now here let's try to see multiply. Now here I can add this multiply. Now if you see here, so the two components we are able to get it, and the output also it will work the same scenario only. So if you try to see, the result is also working, and if you try to see here, so the output is also working. Okay, so the output is also working. So in this way, now we have made it this one as component or this logic as linear, and now wherever the problem you are getting multiply means, you can change this logic, or otherwise if you are getting problem in the addition means, so you can change here in this component. So this is how you can do. We will be dividing the components or big application or the big logic into a chunks of code using the components. So this is the component declaration, and how we will be declaring the components is just we will import that one, and whatever the name you are using it here, and you can use it here directly. So this is how we will be using it. And now the another one which I want to tell you is the components thing. So I have explained you, right? So this one, the components thing and all those things I have explained you, and component registration also we have seen this one, export default. So this one we can use it. This one is not needed. So when you are trying to use this setup, then only we need to use it. So this is all not needed. And if you want to use the Pascal case, or if you want to use the kebab case also, you can use it. Something like my component. For example, let's say that you are using add component like this, right? If you don't want to use it like this means, then you can do add component. This one is also supported. It's not a problem. Then also you can use it. Why? Because here whatever the capital you are trying to use it, and you will get a hyphen here before that one, and that C will be converted into a small case. So this is also the same scenario, you can use it. If you don't want to use that scenario means, you can also directly use it. Anyway is okay for you. So this is how we will be adding the components in this one. This is the component registration, how we will do it. And now the another thing which I want to explain you is the props. So what is this props and how we can use these props? For example, let's say that here in this application, these two components are different. Okay, these two components are different, and these two components are having individual logic. So the one component is not dependent on another component. So that means these both are independent to each other. For example, let's say that if one component is dependent onto another component, or otherwise if you want to send some data, for example, let's say that if you want to send some data to the component means, how you can do it, how you will do it. So that means we want to communicate, or otherwise we want to send some data to the component. How we can send it means by using the props. Okay, by using the props. So what is this props is, for example, let's say that here you are having one variable. Let's say that constant title is equal to adding two numbers. So this is the title, and whatever the title I am trying to use it, so I want to send this title to this add component. So here the same title has to come. So now the title has been declared in the, what I want to say, in the main component. Now I want to send this title to the add component. So how I can send it is, so here using the props. So here I can tell whatever the name I want. So this name is, one second. So here when I am trying how to send the data is title is equal to title. Okay, so the variable we need to use it here. So here the name can be anything. So if you want to heading also you can do it. Whatever the name you want you can do it. And why I am keeping the column? If I don't keep the column means here the title will be a string title. So here this it will not represent the variable. So if you mention here colon, then only it will understand that okay, so it should not be a string, it should be a value of something variable. So if you don't keep this one means you need to use a double curly. So that is not recommended. So if you are trying to send any value through the attributes means we need to use the colon. That's it. Anything, any attribute. Now I am sending heading title to the component, add component. Now I need to receive this title here. Okay, that is nothing but a props. So those are called as a props. Now how can I receive this one? So here these are called as in props. Anything that is sent as an attributes here, so that one we need to receive it using the props here. So now here we need to declare that one as constant props. These are called as in props. That is nothing but a properties. And here you need to use the define props. Okay, so define props, and you need to mention whatever the props that we are trying to send it, and that prop name is nothing but here, what is that one, this heading. So this name we need to mention what are the props that are getting, and here you need to mention it as something like this. So this is the thing. Now here you can use directly wherever you want to use it. Here I can use it directly like this. Okay, I can use it directly like this. Now if you try to see here the output, now we are able to see adding two numbers. Now if you want to use the same heading, this value in the project means, so for example here if you want to use it means, so here you need to use it not directly the heading. You cannot use directly the heading. You need to use it something like props.heading. So in the JavaScript code if you want to use it means you need to use something like props.heading, and in the template means you can directly use it as an heading only. In console if you try to see it, let's try to refresh this page, and if I try to adding two numbers, right, if I click on this one and if I click on add, see here I am able to get the props value. So this is one thing. And now you need to understand that we should not change this props value. For example, if I want to change this props dot heading is equal to some value, here I am trying to modify the props value, means you should not set the props value. Why? Because these props values are read only. So that means we should not. Why? Because if you try to change the props value here, automatically the parent component here also it will try to change it. If it is a reactive, here it is not a reactive. If you are trying to use it in the ref means, then the props value will be changed here also. So that's why we should not change the props value. Props value is always read only. Then if you want to use it means how can I use it means you can store it in another some variable. So constant heading is equal to you can have something like props dot heading, sorry. So you can have in another variable, and you can use and you can modify this variable. So this is how you can use it. So always the props will be read only. So you just read the value and we make use of the value, but you should not modify the value. If you want to modify that value means you should store it in some other variable, and you can modify whatever the logic and whatever the manipulation you want to use it, and you can do with that variable, and you can use that variable, modified variable, in the template. So that's not a problem. So that is the thing you need to understand. So props is always read only. You should never change the props value. So these are different ways how they are trying to tell it. And here the another way also you can do it. For example, let's say that we know that the title value is always string value. So that means if you want to give the strict data type for this one means you can mention this one in a different way. Define props, and here you can mention the as an object heading, and you can mention it as a string. Okay. So now if you try to see, then also you will be able to see the same output. So it's without any problem you will be able to see the same output. But this time, so when the user tries to send any integer value or number value other than this one, so it will tell you that invalid props. It will show you a warning only. It will not show you any error or anything. So that you will be able to understand that okay, the invalid prop data type has been sent. So we need to modify. So in the code it will try to show you the warning. So the props data type also you can mention it. So now the another way also you can do it. So if it is not a mandatory thing, if you are not sending the value, if it sends the value, if you want to take it means you can make it as a question mark. That is not a thing. So otherwise also you can mention it in different way also. I will try to show you where they have declared it. So they have not used it. Prop A. Yeah. So here for example, let's say that in this one, so let's say that this is the heading, right? And if you want to mention too many data means, so you can mention it as a type, and you can mention it as a string, and if it is a required means, so you need to mention it as a required true. So that means tomorrow if you doesn't require, not required, require true. So that means it is a mandatory thing. So for example, let's say that if you are not sending this value means, then it will show you an error here. So here I am not trying to send this value means, so why it is not showing? So it is not the required true. And validation require default required only. Okay, my mistake. So required true. Okay, and now here you will be able to see that missing a required property. So that means must and should, when you are trying to use this component, you should send the heading value. So you should send the heading as a input to this one. So then only it will not working. It will show you just a warning only. Okay, and here we are trying to send an integer value. So we need to send the string value. So like this validations, if you want, you can do it. For example, let's say that you don't want this. What I want to tell is it's not a required thing. Then you can make it as a false. But the default value, if the user doesn't send any value means I want to use some default value means you need to use the default. So you can use default heading like this. Now here we are sending some value, heading value, so that heading value it has been added here. For example, let's say that here we are not sending any heading, so it's a required false only. Now it will try to take the default heading here. Why? Because we are not sending any prop value to this component, add component, and here we have told that for the heading the type should be string and the required is false. If the user doesn't send anything to this heading as a prop means, then the default value should be taken. Here that's why the default value has been taken. So these are the different ways how we can define the props. So that means the validation of these props, if you want to mention it like this means you can do it like this. So this is how you will be writing. And also we have another one, so that is nothing but a validation also. So if you want to do the validation thing also, you can do it. That's not needed. So this is how we will be using the define props. So that means whenever you want to send the value to the component means, so that means here nothing but parent to child combination. Parent to child communication, if you want to do it, means from parent, this is the parent and this one is the child. So parent to child communication, if you want to do it, means then we need to send it only through the props. For example, let's say that if you want to do the child to parent communication, so that means now the add.view has to communicate with the parent component. Then we will be using the event emitter. I will try to tell you. So this is how we will be doing these are all the different types of data types which will be supported. We have seen about the string. If it is only number means we need to use the number. If the accepted value is only boolean array object means we can use it like this. So these are the different ways which we can use it, and here you can check. For example, let's say that if the properties is taking two different data types means then you can mention it like this also. That is not a problem. And that is all about the properties thing. So that means child to parent to child communication is the parents. If you want to do the child to parent means then we will be using the component events. Component event communication. So component event communication is from child to event. For example, let's say that here we are having this one, right? I want to show the result. Okay, add result is equal to, here I want to show the result. Okay, let's assume that here I want to show the result. So instead of showing it somewhere, I want to show the add result here. Okay, so how can I do this one? So now here what I will try to do it is, so here I will define a variable constant result is equal to ref of empty. Okay, so first time it will be ref of empty, the result, but this result value we cannot calculate here. The add result, or otherwise I will try to give it as an add result. The add result we cannot get it from here, so we will be getting that result and all those things is calculated in the add component. So that means when the add component calculate the result here, so when the add, what is happening? Okay, ref we need to include it. So just I will try to give a simple scenario. Now when this add result, so here 3 plus 4, when it is having here, this result should be sent to the app.view. That is nothing but this add component needs to send it to the parent component. How we can send it? This one is, that is nothing but it will try to do the event thing. So here I will try to show you in the add.view. So here it what it is trying to do here. So now we are having this @ click, right? So what we need to try to do it is, so here we need to mention something like an define emits. So here we need to send the define emits. So here how we have defined the properties, in the same scenario we need to define the emits here. So that means what is the emitting event we need to do it. Let's say that we are trying to send the or otherwise result, anything, any name if you want you can do it. So now when the result has been added, so what we will try to do it is, here we need to send the emit of result. Okay, I am trying to send the result, and here I need to send the value, that is nothing but result dot value. I am sending it like this. So now this emit, we are trying to emit this value, and this emit value in the app.view, here we can receive it @ result is equal to, so we can call the method got result, and here I can have a method in such a way that constant got result is equal to, so here I can have a method, and here we will be getting the value, that one. Okay, and this add result dot value is equal to, so that value we can do it. That's it. Now if you try to see the output for this one, if I try to do this result, and here I will try to calculate 3 plus 4, result is equal to 7. So what is happening here? Inspect element, let's try to see it. @ result console, do you have any error? Emit is not defined. Why this emit is not defined? So we are okay. It's not needed, right? So what is it? Okay, constant emit. Okay, we need to use this one, constant emit is equal to, yeah. So now we need to add it here, emit of result like this. Now if you try to see the output for this one, let's try to remove this, 2 plus 5, and here if you try to do it, the same answer here we are able to get it, add result. So that means we are able to communicate from the child to the parent. So we are emitting a custom event. So this one is called as a custom event. So we are emitting an event. So now when we are emitting this result event means automatically here in this component this one will be invoked. Whatever the method you are trying to use it, this method will be called automatically, sending that value. Automatically that value will be sent here. And we are trying to store that value inside this add result. So in this way from child to parent we can able to access this value. So this is how the child to parent communication will be happening. So this is how you will be happening. These all the things are nothing but they are trying to show you the different ways how you can do it is. So but the basic fundamental thing is this one, event communication is, we will be trying to do it like this. I will try to show you some simple example. So we will try to do some example using this props and the event emitter, then you will be able to understand it very easily. So we will try to do the same counter logic only, then you will be able to understand it very clearly. Let's say that in the components, let's say that I will create a new folder that is nothing but counter. Okay, so we will have a counter component. Let's say that we are having a counter.vue file. So I am having a template. Okay, and here I will use the counter, and here I will be using the script setup. Okay, so this is the thing. And here in this one I want to use the counter component, import counter from components, and in this one we will be having a counter, and in this one I am using the counter.vue, and this counter I can use it directly here in this one. So this is the counter which I am trying to show. So I will try to show you. So this is the counter. Okay, now this is the counter we are having it, right? I don't want to do anything in this one, so just we'll go into the counter component only here. So now first what I want to do it is, so here I want to show the counter heading. Okay, let's go into this one, and here h1 counter details. Okay, and here I am having it like this, and here I want to show the counter buttons. So here I will create another component that is nothing but counter buttons. So here counter buttons dot view, and here I will be having a template. So like this we will be dividing everything. So here I will have one div, and here I will be having one button showing plus, and I will be having another button showing minus. And here I will have the script. So like this it will try to, you will be also having this one up. This one is a old syntax actually. We can have the script setup, and now I want to use these counter buttons in this one. So here how can I use this? It is not saving, still showing it as not saved. I don't know. It is saved. Yeah, fine. So now if I want to use this counter means, so in this one I need to import the counter button. So counter buttons view. So here let's try to remove this buttons view. Yeah, counter buttons. So here I want to show this counter buttons. That's it. So now here I am able to see this counter buttons. If you want to design it, we can do it. And here I can have another one that is nothing but counter input. So we can divide it like this: counter input dot view. So here I can have a template, and here you will be having an input box. Input type is equal to text. So this is a simple thing, and here I can have a script setup, and in this counter, so we can import this counter input. Let's try to counter input. We are not getting. Okay, let's try to import it totally. Import counter input from counter input dot view. So I can use this counter input. Where I need to use it? At the top. So at the top. So if I want to use this counter input, now we are able to see an input box also, and plus or minus you are getting. So why I am using this counter thing to show the result only, right? Why I am using this input counter result? We will try to do it as a counter result. Okay, counter result dot view. Okay, so here I will use counter result, and the same value I will use it here also, and here is use it here also. So now here counter result, we will try to show the result here. Counter value, and I want to show the counter here. That's it. So now let's have this counter as constant counter is equal to of counter empty. We will try 0, we will try to show it. Now if I try to refresh this page, yeah, now this is the thing. So now here we have divided into separate components. So now the planning is yours only. You need to plan according to this one. So here I will try to design a paint so that you can able to understand it. So this all depends on the logical thinking only. So here what is the requirement, what we have did it. So we have a main component, parent component, that is nothing but a counter here. We are having a counter component. Okay. And this component has again two child components. Okay, two child components here. First one is counter buttons. I don't know the name. So counter buttons. Okay, counter buttons we are having, and the another one which we are having is the counter result. So which will show the result upon clicking of that buttons. It will show the result. So here, where to save the state data or the prop or the data, where to save it, we need to think it whether you need to save it in the counter result or something like that. So now here what I will try to save it is, so here my logic account, you can do it anything. So in order to make it as a simple, I will try to do it as result. I will save the result variable here. Okay, the result will be something like a 0. I will save it here, and I will send this value as a props to here. Okay, as a props to here. So whenever this result is changed here, automatically the changed value will be sent as a props to here, so that this counter result will show that value only. Now when this result value will be changing when the user clicks on anything on this counter button. So that means when the user clicks on the plus button or a minus button, means I need to send some event to the parent. So that is nothing but a custom event. So we will send it using the emit. Using the emit, we need to send the event to the counter, to this counter. So now the counter will try to update the result, and this result will be automatically sent to the result, counter result component. So this is the logic which I am trying to implement it. So here let's try to implement this one by one. Okay, so let's try to implement this one by one. Now what I will try to do, so here what I have told is in the parent component, in the, where is this one? In the parent component, I need to initialize the variable result. Okay, let's go here and let's try to do the same thing. So here this is our parent, this is the counter component, and these two are child components. In the visualization I have shown you. So that means here I need to have a result. Constant result is equal to ref of 0. I will try to initialize it with a 0 value only. So now ref of 0. So that means this result value we should be sent as a prop to the child. So that means here parent to child communication. Parent to child communication is done only through the props only. Okay. Child to parents means then emit. So parent to child means, so we need to send it through the props. So here how I can send it. So ref of 0 is there. So I need to send it to the counter result. So to this one. So I can send this one as result is equal to result. I can use the same way name, or otherwise you can use the different name also. So now in this counter result, I have declared it as a like this, right? So we should not use it, we should not create the variable here. The result will be coming it as a props. Props is equal to define props. So we are getting it as a props. So we need to use the define props of, and the value which you are getting it as, that is nothing but a counter, result. So we have used it as a result, right? Result, and the type of value we are getting it as a number. Okay, and the required is true. So the default value, if anybody does, so default required true means, so they should not have a default value. If you want, you can use it, but it is a default, it's a required value. So now we got the result value, and directly I can use this result value here. So now if you try to see the output for this one, So we are able to see the counter of 0. So that means where whatever the value I am trying to send it here, I will try to send the 4 default, and here we are able to get the 4 value. So that means it is responding to the value. So that means I am able to send to the child component the value. So fine, up to here the thing is working. Now when I try to click on plus or minus something like that, I need to update this value depending on the whatever the button the user has clicked. So that means these two buttons are present in the counter buttons. Okay, so these here are the buttons which we are having. Let's try to say that we are having @click is equal to add, and here also I will try to use it @click is equal to subtract. Okay, @click is equal to subtract. So these are the two functions which we are having. Now let's try to implement these two functions. So this is the common thing which you know already. Okay, and here I can do constant subtract is equal to. Okay, so these are the two methods which we are having. So normally what we will try to do here, we don't have any variable to update it. So for example, if you are having the result, means you can do result is equal to result plus 1, you can do it. But here we are not having this result variable. Result variable is present in the parent component, just like in the paint. Here the result variable we don't have in this one. So result value we are having here. So that here we need to do the result plus 1. So here we cannot do it. So what we can do it, we can send a signal to the parent component to do it plus 1 or minus 1, something like that. So how we can send a signal, that is nothing but here using the emit. So now what I will try to do it is, so here I will try to create two events, that is nothing but constant emit is equal to define emits. Okay, define emits of, so added, so just I will try to use added and subtracted. So these are the two events. So when this one is invoked means, so we need to add plus 1. When this one is invoked means we need to add minus 1. So that means I need to emit the event. So here emit of added. So I am emitting the event, and in the same scenario I am emitting the event emit of subtracted. Okay, so these are the name. Whatever the name you want you can use it. So just I am trying to use it here. So now we are emitting the events here. Let's go to the counter. Okay, this is the parent component, right? So here this one is emitting added subtracted. So this we are having added, and this one is also emitting subtracted. So these two are the events which is this child component is trying to emit. Now we need to receive it in the parent. How we can receive it to the parent? So which one is emitting this one? Counter buttons is emitting. So now what I want to do it is, so here I need to counter buttons is emitting, right? Here I need to use the added. So when this event is emitted, I want to execute the method that is nothing but on add. Okay, and in the same scenario here subtracted. So when this event is emitted, I want to use the on subtract. Okay, so these are the two methods which we need to call. So whenever this event is emitted means this method will be executed. Whenever this event is emitted means this method will be executed. So here I can have these two methods. On add, you can use function on add. So this is the one method which you will be having, and another one is function on subtract. So we will be having this another one on subtract. So on add result is there, right? So what can I do here? So we know that we need to do only plus 1 only. So if you are having plus 2 plus 3 means you can do it like that. So now here you can do result dot value. Okay, result dot value is equal to, so we are having this one, right, is equal to result dot value plus 1. So I am doing it plus 1. Plus is equal to 1 also you can do it. Just I am elaborating the sentence so that you can able to understand it clearly. You can do the plus plus or minus minus also you can do it. So now I am doing the minus. So that means whenever the result is coming, now when the result is got updated, automatically that result will be sent to the props also. So now if you try to see it here, the output. So I am refreshing this page. Let's try to see the output. If I am trying to press, see the counter is getting updated. If I am trying to press -1, so the counter is getting minus. So now what I have did it here. So we have divided this one is actually it's a small component only, but I am trying to show you how we can divide a components into different components, and also how we can use these components communicate with each other with the parent. So now before dividing, so you need to understand, so is there any valid reason or something like that to divide a component, and also the way of communication, where to maintain the state data, where to communicate, these all the things also you need to plan it, then only you can do it very easily. So if you are going on dividing the components too much deep means then you will get a problem. Why? Because we cannot send the values to the parent or something like communication will become very complex. So you need to understand it before doing these all things. So this is how we can communicate to parent to child, and now whenever the button is clicked, we are sending the event to parent, and the parent is updating the result value, and in return the result is sending it to the child parent. So this is how we can communicate with each other. So this is how we will be doing it, this one counter thing. Are you able to understand this counter thing? So is it clear?